Would you like to live your best life possible, regardless of your imperfections? Discover cutting-edge tools and inspiration to let go of your limitations and expand your life beyond what you've ever imagined. On Imperfect Brilliance, we help you tap into your unique gifts and talents, uncovering and letting your brilliance shine. Join certified facilitators and coaches Betsy McLaughlin and Kathy Williams to delve into different areas of your life. Get unstuck and create the life that is truly possible for you. These joyful ladies have changed their lives by utilizing the tools and techniques they share with you. What if your willingness to acknowledge your brilliance is the catalyst to creating a new reality? When you stop judging you, what else can you create in your life and in the world? Join Kathy and Betsy live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern to create magical and joyous possibilities for an hour of laughs, questions, tips, and more. We are excited to contribute and play with you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Imperfect Brilliance. I'm Kathy Williams here with my co-host, Betsy McLaughlin. And today we're going to be having a conversation all about creating a greater financial reality. And a lot of us only know what we've known, what we grew up in. And very often people don't create much beyond that environment, much beyond what they grew up in and were comfortable with. Whether that's a middle class and family and neighborhood, and you're just comfortable in that kind of neighborhood, and go to a party with, that's more ritzy and glamorous and feel a little bit uncomfortable being there as though you don't belong. And so we're going to talk about expanding the possibilities with finances and with getting out of our comfort zone a little bit to create what we would really like to create. So, hello, Miss Betts. How are you?
Hello. I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Good. You want to say a little bit about us?
Oh, my goodness. What can I say about us? So many different things. So but for today's show, I will say these things, and that is that we are joyful facilitators, and we adore contributing to you guys and what you know is possible in the world. And we facilitate classes all over the world, online as well as physically. We will travel and go and play in your neck of the woods. And we are also moms. We have kids of different ages. We both have a son, and Kathy has two sons. And we are authors, and we, there's just so many different things we do and we be in our lives. We're both wives, and so many other things, and that we have a large background of a lot of different things that we have created in our lives that have all contributed to who we are today and who we continue to ask to be. And we're always looking how we can make our lives greater and easier and more joyful and expansive. So that's that's our invitation to you guys as well. And is there anything you'd like to add to that, Kathy?
Well, I'd just like to say that we've been on the radio for 3 and 4 years now. I've been on for 3, and Betsy has been on 4. And we really do take your ideas into consideration. So if you have an idea for a show or a question about something that we've talked about that you're unclear about, we are happy to either do a show on that or clarify for you. So just reach out, and you can reach out at imperfectbrilliance@gmail.com. You can reach out on Facebook, at Imperfect Brilliance, or I'm Kathy Jones Williams there, and Betsy is Betsy McLaughlin. And so, like you are a vital part of our show. If we didn't have listeners, we wouldn't have a show. So thanks for being here, and we look forward to hearing your ideas and your questions. So that is it. And, I really got this idea for this show because I have a challenge going on right now. It's called the 5-Day Radical Abundance Challenge, and it started today. So you can still hop in any of the days that it's going on. You'll always get the recordings. And that's at meetkathywilliams.com/abundance, and Kathy with a K, Williams with an S. And what I did was ask people, what would you like? What's going on in your life? What would you like to change? And finances were a big thing. So I had a whole little survey, and then I was like, well, let's do a show all about financial reality and creating that. So here we are doing that show. And I would like to start with a couple of questions, and one is, you're just tapping into the financial reality that we've been living, each of us. What is that like? If you just tap into that, is that really expansive and juicy? Does that light your body up? Is that kind of clunky or dense and heavy? Is it somewhere in between? What is that like? And as you tap into that, what if you could change that more easily than you think? Even if you have all this evidence that I've tried for years and it hasn't changed, or, lots of supporting evidence, right? And then let's imagine that everyone else's point of view just floats away like a mist rising off the land, or like balloons. Bye-bye. Everyone can have their ideas about my finances and their ideas about their finances and the economy and money and all of that. Let's just send it all back. And now, truth. What would your financial reality be like? Like what would it feel like if you were fully living that, your financial reality, without anyone else's points of view, judgments, opinions attached? And is that different from the first version?
Mm-hmm.
So Betsy says yes. Yeah. So one of the first things that we can start to do when we have, density in our financial world is like, let's return these points of view to sender, right? Like before I asked you to tap into your financial reality without anyone else's points of view, I asked you to kind of send back their opinions and their judgments. So when you have thoughts, feelings, and emotions that don't feel like the financial reality that you just tapped into a moment ago, chances are they're not yours. They're somebody else's. Maybe you're making them real for you. Just send them back. Return it to sender with consciousness attached. So what else would you mention about that, Betsy?
As you were speaking, what really was coming in is how much have we bought, and we even say it in the introduction to this call today, is how much have we bought that we're not allowed to have a lot more financial success than fill in the blank? Whether it be your parents or your grandparents or your friends or your whomever, like even it could be your spouse, or your your joyful other, where somewhere somebody decided that they can't have a completely different financial reality than the other people in their lives. So in having that decision somewhere, how much have you limited what you can create financially?
Yes. A little, or a megaton.
Right? And then the next question that goes with that, right, is wherever you've decided that is, it might not even be something that you cognitively decided, but somewhere along the line, that became your reality. So are you now, now that we're looking at these and really asking questions, would you like to continue that? Or would you like to change that? What works for you? And it could totally work for you. And we're not saying it's right or it's wrong. Our conversations are really about inviting other possibilities if you would enjoy them. So I know for me, go ahead, and I can remember this, so go ahead.
Well, as you look at, is who have I decided I can't out-create? Who have I decided I can't have a greater financial reality than? My mother, my father, my spouse, my ex, Bill Gates.
Yeah, great one. I love that. Yeah, it doesn't, and that's a great point. It doesn't have to be somebody that you know. And, then we go to, so when you said Bill Gates, I was able to pick up on the energy of I could never make as much money as he does. So even having that for a fleeting second, does that become your reality because you had that thought? And that's how quick it can be, right? Where we have, gosh, I don't even know, maybe you do, Kathy, how many thoughts come in even in an hour? How much do we process in an hour? How much of these kind of things? So those very quick thoughts that come in and out all the time, are we making those if I've decided I could never make as much money as Bill Gates or, anyone else, Oprah, Winfrey, or whomever, you've decided that there's no way you could ever do that. Well, if that's what you've decided, can you, yes, can you change it? Yes, absolutely. And what does that look like if you've decided whatever it is that you've decided?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, I've read that you have between 50 and 70,000 thoughts a day, and
oh my gosh,
most of those are repetitive. I guess they say 95% are repetitive. I'm not sure if that's really true, but that's a lot.
It certainly is.
So what message are you repeating to yourself over and over? Is it an I can't do it thought? Is it, one of the things I sometimes hear is, yeah, that works, but not for me, right? Yes, other people can do it, but I can't. I teach this class called Stop Stopping You, and that's one of the thoughts that people have. And so obviously, if you're having that thought, there is an energy of why bother? Why even try? If other people can do it, but it won't work for me, then why even try? And what if there's a different possibility? What if we didn't even buy our negative thoughts as true? I studied NLP, and one of the useful things that we used to have people do is if you have a negative thought, you could smurf it. You could make it sound like Daffy Duck or a Smurf or something like that, where it's like, now when you're listening to it say, well, you're really stupid. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm not even going to listen to that because it's just like this ridiculous sounding voice telling me I'm stupid. I don't need to give it any credence.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's so funny. So when you have a very significant thing, I love that suggestion. Like put it in a Mickey Mouse voice, or like when somebody inhales some helium and then talks with that silly voice, and then how serious is it really? And I love introducing that part to this conversation about money and finances, and because so many of us, myself included, for sure, have made money, a very serious, very, very serious thing. And, and so in that seriousness, I have, for a large part of my life, and I can still do it, is made it so significant, whatever it is that I've decided. And when there's a seriousness and there's not a joy coming along with the money and what the finances and everything, what I have found for me is that it becomes almost like a quicksand, right? It becomes very difficult to get through it. You know what I mean? Am I explaining that?
Yeah. And, I was just thinking that heaviness, that seriousness about money, is that even yours? Right? As a child, did you have a sense of excitement? Oh, we get to revisit this when we come back. The quality you had as a child about money versus how you're approaching it now. So let's hop back in just a few minutes and talk about that. Thanks for listening to Imperfect Brilliance, everyone. We'll be back in just a few.
Free your mind with Om Times Radio, IOM FM.
Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. Om Times, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of Om Times Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hi, this is New Age Grammy winner Paul Avgerinos. Thanks for listening to Om Times Radio, and please support my peaceful healing music with a purchase at iTunes, Amazon, or wherever you shop for fine music. Just put my name into the search engine, Paul Avgerinos. A, V like Victor, G like George, E-R-I-N-O-S. You can also visit me at roundskymusic.com. Thanks for listening, and I'm wishing you the brightest of blessings.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak.
Can we walk home?
How about a taxi?
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Imperfect Brilliance. Thank you so much for playing with us. And right before the break, we started talking about seriousness with money. And Kathy, do you remember what it was that you were going to say?
Yeah, you know, as little children, often money was not a big deal. Oh, let me do a lemonade stand and get the money.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun. Or my kids are always talking about wanting to have a garage sale and sell their toys, even though we've never had a garage sale. You know, or my son, I took him to an Access Consciousness class in Costa Rica called the 7-Day. It's an advanced class, and I took both of them. And my little guy was 4 at the time, and he fell in love with this painting that was for sale. There was an artist, and every day he would display his animal paintings or paintings of the scenery in Costa Rica. And my son fell in love with this gorilla painting, a baby gorilla. And it was $300. And I was just sort of like, okay, well, if you would like to have that painting, you can earn the money. I'm not buying it for you. And during the time we were there, remember it's called the 7-Day, so it was 7 days, he earned the money to buy that painting. And, you know, that sense of accomplishment and that sense of like, I can create the money for what I desire is still with him. And he's 6 years old, you know. This powerful little guy earns the money by doing body processes like energy work on people, running bars, which is 32 points on the head, that discharge thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and by doing different energy work on people. And so, like, when we are tapped into possibility instead of limitation, we find a way, right? Whether we're 4 years old or whether we're 104 years old. Like, when we're tapped into possibility, there are infinite possibilities available, and we'll find a way. So,
well, I was going to ask you too, with that, you know, so when you said to him, well, if you earn the money, you can buy it, did he go to any place? Did he go to, like, there's no way I can do it? Did he have any doubt? Or was he just kind of like, okay? So what was his reaction and point of view about that?
Yeah, he was 4 years old. At that point, I don't think there was ever any, oh, I can't do this. It was just like, okay, tell me what to do. If that involves drawing pictures and selling them, I'll do it. You know, like, I want that monkey painting. And he ended up being, I mean, he's 6. He's a little collector of art. He has a sunflower photograph from someone on Maui. He has, you know, this picture of owls. He loves art, and he finds a way to get it.
Isn't that something, right? Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the point is, like, he didn't get all frustrated, like, oh no, $300. I'm only 4, Mom. $300 is hard to get. And it was just like, okay, cool. And how much have we allowed other people's points of view, or again, like that collection of past experiences, evidence that it's hard, limit our possibility for the future? And let's use the clearing statement here. So, and then we'll explain it afterwards. Everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it times a gazillion?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad,
all 9 short stories and beyond. The delay of radio. So those weird combination of words are designed to not make sense and bypass our logical thinking mind. And basically, you don't need to know how it works. It's like an energetic, taking a vacuum and sucking out the energetic stuff in your head. And
I like that.
So, right, just like take the cobwebs and suck it out. So that is what the clearing statement is. And if you'd like to get more information than this, you can go to theclearingstatement.com for more information. And I love the energy and the matter-of-factness of your son being like, okay, well, tell me what to do. And nowhere in his world, because you can think like an adult would look at this situation and go, he's 4 years old. How in the world is he going to come up with $300? So you could have just said that as a way to get him to kind of, go away, and you're not really saying no. But that's not, the energy that you were. You were the invitation to him to be like, hey, you are a great creator, and, like you don't put limitations on him because of his age or his size. He's like, hey, what would it take for you to create this money? If you really like this, what could you do? What could you create? And so that was an invitation to him to be like, oh, I wonder what I could. And then to ask you questions. And then, next thing you know, boom, here he is doing something where I'm sure everyone that was at this event was happy to contribute to him to get this painting that he really liked.
Oh, totally.
It's a beautiful example of, collaboration and what truly can be possible, where a lot of people might have thought that this was an impossible task. How in the world is a 4-year-old supposed to earn that kind of money?
Yeah. And he did.
I love it. So, and the fact that he's an art collector already, like, wow, how amazing.
Yes. Van Gogh's in his future. No. And I just would like to bring it back to those questions that you just asked, because they're not just applicable to a 4-year-old. It's like, if you have something that you'd like to have or do, or, an adventure you'd like to go on, and you don't seem to have the money, what could I do? What could I create to receive that money, or to be able to go? Sometimes we think that, I need a certain amount of money to go, and when it might be, well, there are other ways of going. I have a friend, Alan, who I create a lot with, and in fact, we're doing an interesting point of view challenge if you'd like to join us. And you can find that on my website, meetkathywilliams.com/upcoming. And he really wanted the money for a class. And the class costs, I think, $2,500, something like that, maybe a little more. And then he was asked to host the class. So he didn't, in fact, require the money, because here he was now part of a team creating the class, putting on the class, finding the venue for the class. And so how often do we limit what can show up because we think, or we wait for the money, right? We think we have to obtain the money, or we're trying to make the money for it, instead of, oh my gosh, this thing could come in 5,000 other ways that I hadn't considered. Maybe with that painting my son was trying to get, if I had been involved, maybe it would mean, I offer to sell the artist's work in the U.S. and in exchange for that I get one of the paintings, or, there are just so many ways that things can show up that we limit when we limit the way it can show up to having the money for it.
Yeah. And, we touched a little bit before on being willing to outcreate. And I'd like to add to that, are you willing to outcreate yourself? Are you willing to push, are you willing to push the boundaries that you may have put around yourself, let alone what you've decided about anybody else's world, but what about you? Are you willing to step into uncomfortable?
Are you? Yeah. I mentioned that in the very beginning. Oftentimes, the willingness to expand our financial reality beyond other people we've been comfortable with, or beyond other people we're trying to keep comfortable, or even beyond anything we've ever created, is not comfortable. And that's the whole thing. You're coming out of your comfort zone. So when you're coming out of your comfort zone, it's not comfortable. And one of the things I kind of suggest, and I've done a Facebook video of this on my page if you look there, is going somewhere you don't feel that comfortable going. That might be, for me, I do wear jewelry, but I don't wear like $2,000 bracelets. So I went to a store and tried on the $2,000 bracelets there and just got a sense of like, what is that like? How does that feel for my body? How does it feel to be in the store? Because, as an infinite being, which is what you are, you do have the capacity to go anywhere and be okay, not feel like you don't belong. You're infinite. However, a lot of times, we identify with our past and who we think we are. We don't feel comfortable going to the store where they sell $2,000 bracelets and $5,000 necklaces and stuff like that. And so it's a really fun experience or experiment to go places where you're the only person in the store and you're trying on that pair of shoes or that necklace or whatever it is, and also kind of use the clearing statement or use whatever tools you have if you get uncomfortable, like I don't belong here, or they're going to know I shouldn't be trying this on, or whatever. That's all the story in your head, none of which is true. It's just made up. And just process yourself through being there and expanding your comfort zone.
Absolutely. And I know for a long time, I would not, I remember being in the Bahamas and there was a jewelry store that had amazing, gorgeous jewelry. And I was looking in the window and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so pretty. And there was nobody in the store. And they're like, why don't you come in and try it on. And I was like, oh no, I couldn't do that. I couldn't possibly do that. And now if I had that same invitation, I'd be like, okay, I'd be happy to come play. And just to be in the joy of it, like we talked about earlier, the joy. But I had gone so much to, I can't even set foot in this place because I can't afford it. And, I had 100 reasons why not. So I cut off, just the fun of playing with stuff. And I love that you talked about jewelry and, it could be anything, like test drive a Ferrari if that's what makes you excited, or go see walk through $1 million house, or whatever it is that you've always said I could never, and you've stopped yourself from enjoying whatever that is. Would you be willing to actually allow yourself to enjoy the energy of it and the possibility of it? And what might that contribute to you simply by allowing yourself the energies of that?
Yeah, if we're uncomfortable places like that, it's because we have points of view in the way. So what points of view do you have that are limiting what kind of abundance can show up in your life? What kind of money?
Right.
What kind of gems? What kind of, sheets on your bed? Yeah, and everything that is will you destroy and then create them all?
Absolutely.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond.
I tell you what, when I have walked through a house that, you know, is way beyond anything that I've really like encountered in my day-to-day life, and you just walk through it and you're like, oh my gosh. I remember looking at a house that was 9,000 square feet, and each level was 3,000, and it was 3,000 square feet, and it was a 3-level house. And my husband and my son and I were walking through this house, and we were having so much fun. And it was like every time we turned a corner where we thought it was the end of a hallway, it was like, oh my gosh, there's another room, and here's another room, and there's a sitting room off the sitting room in the master bedroom. And we were laughing and having so much fun. And even just like, where would you put, like, how much furniture you'd have to fill this house up? And like, we were getting so silly, and just like, you could have 70 families live here and you'd still never see each other. And just really, really enjoying ourselves, you know, and just totally being silly and in the moment. And so for so long, I would never have even set foot in a house like that. So, you know, it's really, really fun to do these kinds of things, whatever that is for you.
Yeah. Yeah, expanding, you know, I mean, that just expands so much as you're willing to expand the vibrational range that you're comfortable in. You know, I remember Simone Millicis, and she's the author of the book, what is it called? Getting Out of Debt Joyfully, talking about going through neighborhoods and being like, oh, I feel comfortable here. And then as the houses got bigger and more grand, she was like, I don't feel comfortable here, you know? And it's like, what if you could be okay being anywhere? So we'll be back in just a moment. Thanks for listening to Imperfect Brilliance, everyone.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living. A chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
Hi, this is recording artist and composer Yuval Ran, inviting you to a voyage through the chakras, a new double album of guided meditations to transform your life, a sublime musical medicine for nourishing inner peace and reaching to your higher virtues. Get it now at metamindfulnessmusic.com. METTA mindfulnessmusic.com.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, everyone, to Imperfect Brilliance. It's Betsy McLaughlin and Kathy Williams here. And I know if you guys are looking for us, you can find us on Facebook And we have an Imperfect Brilliance page, and of course we have our personal pages as well. And it's Kathy Williams with a K, and Betsy McLaughlin, which is McLoughlin. My website is creatingyumminess.com, and Kathy's website is meetkathywilliams.com. Our email address is imperfectbrilliance@gmail.com. So lots of ways to find us, and we are always creating lots of fun classes and online events. And Kathy has mentioned a few. And we also have in-person classes. So lots of things that you can come play with us. And if you all would ever like to host us, we would love to come to your, have conversations and come to your area and teach classes. We have a variety of classes that we can teach. And we love to play together, or you can invite us separately, whatever works for you guys. But know that we are more than happy to have conversations with you. So please feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you, Betsy. Yeah, we taught together last year, and it was so fun.
Yeah, it
really
was.
Such a fun adventure.
Yes.
And yeah, if you'd like to come to Hawaii, we have a couple of upcoming events. The foundation this month, and also in March. If you're a planner or not a planner, but you would love to come to Maui in March, you have a foundation class, which is just, oh gosh, if you haven't done the foundation, it contains hundreds of tools for really having more effective everything. More
totally
with finances, bodies, relationships, so many different things. And so that's going on in March. And then in November, there's something called the Art of Living Crazy Possible, which is a course that I took, and then I'm like, let me host this, because it's really just that good, helping you get clear with your priorities. So you can find out about all of those classes at meetkathywilliams.com/upcoming, as well as the Radical Abundance Free Challenge, which is going on now, the Radical Abundance 2-month course, which is a game changer financially for a lot of people. I've seen people make $30,000 extra during that class that they didn't expect, and have their best month in sales, and just so much more. And then, like I mentioned, the interesting point of view challenge, which we're on day 2 of, and it's already changed a lot for me, just recognizing where I have so many points of view that are actually limiting, which are like little minor things even, like, oh, this is my favorite time of day, which limits me from having maybe a favorite time of day or a wonderful time of day other times. So, yeah, check those out at meetkathywilliams.com with a K /upcoming. And I know Betsy has some stuff going on too.
I do. I'm actually have a couple of foundation classes that I'm teaching. I'm rolling out my Creating Yumminess specialty classes, and I am also hosting a couple of amazing classes, and these are in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. We've got Dr. Andrew Gardella coming in the end of October for a wonderful class called ESSE, and you can look for more information on my Facebook page, Betsy McLaughlin, Certified Facilitator, and because it's kind of hard to explain, but there is some information there. And then we also have Dr. Anthony Mattis coming in the first weekend in December for a 3-day body class, which is 3 days of playing with your bodies and learning all kinds of energetic processes. Both of these are just kind of, they're in different ways, all contributions to your body. So as I said earlier, Kathy and I are always cooking up a lot of fun things. So we are happy to play with you in any and all of these ways, however you would like to join us. And so today's conversation is all about your financial reality. And I wonder, like Kathy, how many people listening now or in the future have the feeling that they really can't change their financial reality? And right, so everything that is, would you like to destroy and uncreate all of your decisions around that?
Yes, right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 short boys and beyond. And you know, I mean, what occurs to me from that is like, first off, the first thing we did was pretty much right off the bat ask you to tap into what your financial reality is. So would you be willing to choose that? Choose from that energy. Let that energy kind of direct you, no matter what anybody is choosing around you. And not have to agree or align or make those people's viewpoints right. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. So everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yeah.
Everything that doesn't allow you to choose it. Yours.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, good, bad,
right.
talk, all 9 short boys and beyond. And then, like, you know, just in regard to people, what people are choosing around you, sometimes we make their points of view right, you know, whether they say, oh, well, starting a new business is hard. Like, how often have we heard that? Or the majority of businesses fail within 2 years. And, okay,
oh, yes.
cool. Right? Right? And not having to make that real for you. Like, and I know we've talked about this on the show before, talking with your business, communicating with it, you know, recognizing that everything has consciousness and it can all inform you if you're willing to ask questions and be aware. And that's one of the things that is the biggest gift to creating a greater financial reality, asking questions. Because asking a question always opens the door to multiple possibilities. If you've concluded, oh, it's hard, then that's almost like setting a roadblock in your way. And if you're willing to see, well, what are the possibilities of making money that I haven't even explored yet? You know, I had a private client I was talking with this morning, and we were talking about the fact that most 6- and 7-figure business owners, or not even business owners, but people who have that much money, have 7 different streams of income or more. You know, so what if you didn't make yourself wrong? Because he was looking at, well, Kathy, that means I have 4 different jobs. And when I put it like that, he lit up and he said, oh my gosh, these are 4 different revenue streams, and what else can I add? And bookmark that question as well. What else can I add to my life today to have a greater financial reality right away? You know, and that might not be adding another revenue stream. It might be adding a person to one of those revenue streams. What else or who else can you add?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, do you have things in your house that you could sell? I mean, there's so many different ways that you could create money. When someone else pays for a meal, you've created money. You know, it might not be money that you would actually put in your wallet, but, you know, so there are a lot. You could find money on the street. All of these are ways that money can come into your life. So in asking the questions that Kathy just shared with us, it really does invite all of those things to come in. And how can money contribute to you? And what can you contribute to money?
And one of the fun questions that I just love to play with is like, where else would money like to come from? Where else would money like to come from? And I'll just ask it and ask it and ask it because it's playful. It's not this thing, it's like I have to figure it out and it's limited and, all of that. It's just like, where else would money like to come from? Not a big deal. And when I ask that, I mean, like people PayPal me for random products on my site, not random, wonderful products, and, recordings and things or I'll find money or, so many different ways of receiving money that like you haven't even considered when you just start to ask, where else would money like to come from? Because one of those things that stops us up is the need to figure it out. The need to figure it out makes it serious, makes it stressful, makes it like it's on you. And what if you start to ask questions, you realize it's not on you. The universe is willing to contribute to you. You don't have to push and pull to make that money come in. And what I'd love to do is, whether it's now during the show or after the show, like pause for a moment and just get a sense of some time when you asked for something and it showed up without you having to push or pull to make it happen. And what I mean by that is, for example, I remember, I was in my early 20s and I wanted to go to this workshop. I said, okay, if I get $500, which it was the amount of the workshop, I'll go. Well, what ended up happening was sometime later that week, I received a check from when I was 15 years old. And it said, like, this is your last paycheck from this job I did, this ballet I danced in. And we've been trying to locate you. And it's like, that is so weird because my parents still lived at the same address that I lived at when I did that job. They could have sent it there when I, when I was 15 or beyond. I mean, I lived at that address for at least 2 more years. But they waited until, I asked the universe in my own way. I didn't say specifically, okay, universe, send me $500, but I did say, okay, if I get $500, I'll go. And there was my check for like $587 or something like that. So I went.
So funny.
I know.
And you hear stories. I know, and you hear stories about that all the time. I have a wonderful client who wanted the same thing. She wanted to take a class, and she just did not have the money. And so she was asked in her bank account when she wanted to sign up. So she just said, hey, what would it take for this money to show up? And she is self-employed, and she shared the story about how she got a letter in the mail from the IRS, and she didn't open it for a few days. And then she's like, because usually when you get a letter from the Internal Revenue Service in the United States, it's usually like, hey, you owe us more money or whatever. So you're like, oh, no. Right. Sometimes it's a nice letter like, hey, you overpaid. So she opens the letter and she got one of those, hey, guess what? We owe you money. And it was a little bit more than the amount that she needed for this class. So, again, and she's like, never in a million years would she have expected to get money from the Internal Revenue Service. And she said, I don't know how that they owed me money. She goes, I honestly thought that I owed them more money. And, so again, if you try to go to figuring it out, like it did not make any sense logically at all. And, so she's like, so I went to the class. She's like, I couldn't believe what happened. So you never know. Like there's all kinds of fun stories that we have heard or even experienced ourselves about the magic of asking questions and asking for the universe to contribute to you. And the way that things show up, you can't predict it. You really can't. But are you willing to, invite that fun, playful energy into your life and see what happens, see what shows up? And then the other piece to that is gratitude, having great gratitude for everything that does show up, even picking up a penny off the ground. Thank you, universe. And what were you going to add to that?
Well, I'd love to just clear, many of us, including a couple of clients I have mentioned, if I tapped into the magical capacities I know I have, that I use when I'm finding a parking spot, and if I tapped into those to make money or to, have more abundance or clients show up, I'd have an unfair advantage, or I'd feel guilty about that. And I'd love to just clear that for anyone who has that going on, because it's everyone has that available. The universe is willing to contribute. So would you please take part, engage with the universe instead of blocking and stopping and preventing that kind of support from coming into your life. So everywhere you're unwilling to, almost have things show up as if by magic, everywhere you're unwilling to have them show up that way, and you think you have to work hard, will you destroy and uncreate that?
Absolutely.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pet, poc, all name shirts, boys, and beyond. Yeah. Would you be willing for things to show up in greater and greater ways for you?
Thank you guys so much for listening to Imperfect Brilliance with Betsy and Kathy. We're so grateful for you.
Have a great week, everyone. We'll be back next Tuesday.
Have a wonderful week, everyone.
You can listen to us on SoundCloud or at ion.fm. All the replays are there, or on YouTube, and we look forward to hearing from you. Have a great one.
Awesome.
Aloha.
Bye-bye.